You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. All of that, folks, as we look at polls showing Joe Biden increasing his lead over Donald Trump. But I keep telling black people, damn those polls. Those are not votes. Ignore the polls. We must stay focused and vigilant when it comes to voting. Of course, lots of things I want to talk about. Joining me now is Michael Blake, New York State Assemblyman. He's also is DNC Vice Chair. Michael, glad to have you here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. This is going to be obviously a critical debate here. The nation gets to see Senator Kamala Harris going one-on-one with VP Mike Pence. His tone and attitude is far different than that of Donald Trump. I do not expect Mike Pence to be interrupting, to be as boorish, to be as arrogant as Trump. But it is going to be important for Senator Kamala Harris tonight to establish the contrast, especially with Pence being head of the White House Coronavirus Task Force when they've had this massive breakout at the White House.
Well, Roland, let's be clear that, Pence may be a little nicer, but it doesn't mean in any way what he's saying is any better. And so this is an opportunity for Senator Harris to make it very clear when she's the next vice president. Here's what we're going to focus on for black folk and communities of color. This is what we're going to do around COVID relief and making sure immediately we have a restart package towards that. This is what we do to protect health care for black communities and brown communities and communities of color. This is what we're doing specifically around restarting the economy for black and brown folk as well. And so, Pence and what's happening in terms of the super spreading on the other side is absolutely irresponsible. And tonight, the country will see the vice president that Senator Harris is going to be for all of us.
We obviously are going to also, you're seeing Donald Trump, who went back into the Oval Office. People walk around with PPP in the White House. They're still not really enforcing social distancing as well as masks. The public increasingly are upset with Donald Trump. We're seeing that in the polling data. Tonight is, again, an opportunity to put another nail in the coffin for a second term of Trump-Pence.
Well, let's be very clear. While we continue to pray for the recovery of President Trump and the First Lady and all those their reckless, irresponsible, chaotic, nonsensical approach is the reason why 200,000 plus Americans, including one of my friends, 46-year-old Zeke Cousins, have been called on home too early. And so this is a very clear indication for anyone asking and wondering what's at stake. Black people, black businesses are dead and are not coming back because, in large part, the irresponsibility of Trump and Pence. And so this is an opportunity for us to be very clear and very direct about what's at stake. And, Roland, as you know, I had the opportunity to work in the Obama-Biden administration within the White House, running African-American and minority business outreach for the White House, being on both campaigns. There is no way in hell that we would have had a space where you literally would have had a president who was still sick, going against doctor's orders, returning back to the White House, and putting more people at risk for his own personal gain. And so this is what's at stake right now. People have to understand. I understand you may say you want perfect, but it's about being clear about what's at stake. Do you want to survive and thrive? That's why we're saying that Biden and Harris have to win, not just for our sakes, but for the sakes of generations to come as well.
One of the things, obviously, when we start talking about the issues there, when we start breaking down, again, how do you get people to the polls? How do you speak to them? Last year, black women were very aggressive in saying that the DNC was not listening to them, was not appealing to them. I remember there was a headline that was even in it was in The Hill, where they said, why are black women ghosting the Democratic Party? And that was important. And in fact, here was a piece that was in The Atlantic. Go to my iPad, please. This was a piece, a warning to the Democratic Party about black voters. Cory Booker and Kamala Harris had the same grave message for their fellow candidates, talking about how critically important black voters are. That was that particular piece there. Then you also had another piece that was done, again, examining this here. This is from the New York Times. This was a story, Black Americans have a message for Democrats. not being Trump is not enough. And then I'm going to pull up the third story here that was speaking to this particular issue that people were looking at. This was the LA Times. Women of color pose a question for Democratic candidates. Why should we vote for you? That obviously is important. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris needs to also get back to Obama era levels when it comes to black voters. How do they do that in the final 27 days?
Well, we first are going to have to be much more direct and clear to everybody that it's not just about Trump being bad, but we're going to tell them why we're good. And as a vice chair of the DNC, as the first black man elected to this senior role since Ron Brown, as a brother who has endured police brutality myself on 2 occasions, and in living in the Bronx where I've seen it firsthand, I want to be very clear with everybody. There is an opportunity on what we can do for black men, for black women, for black people through a Biden-Harris administration. Number one, when we talk about elevating the Minority Business Development Agency to an assistant secretary level and having additional capital to get out to black businesses, that was not happening before. It not only will help us to survive and thrive and build back better, but it will create more opportunities that didn't exist for many of our businesses. When we talk about what has to happen around criminal justice reform, please stop telling me about only your frustration about a crime bill for Senator Biden at the time, or Senator Harris was a prosecutor. Let's talk about what we have done moving forward around a First Step Act and creating more opportunities through Biden when he was a vice president, and say very clearly, this is about how do we have criminal justice changes at larger scale that would happen in the Biden-Harris administration. Number three, let's talk about when it comes to education, whether it be increased funding for black males, for black students, for black families, whether it be student loan forgiveness. So for all of you, especially HBCU students who would obviously get more funding from the Biden-Harris administration, but having the chances of having your loans forgiven, those are the tactical pieces. But then let's take it to that final state, Roland. When we talk about healthcare, black men, we're dying, we're losing our lives, we're losing opportunities. And so we have to ask ourselves, do you trust a racist, sexist, xenophobic person who has done everything possible to not help our communities? Or do we put our faith and hands in the Biden-Harris administration for more funding for community development institutions, to make sure we strengthen the Affordable Care Act, to make sure we're addressing when it comes to mental health, to say very concretely that for our people, black men, black people, this is what's at stake. And so I'm going all out for the next 27 plus days, because it's not just about how do we make it for these 27 days. I am very concerned about how we make it for the next 27 years and beyond. And so next year in 2021, the 100th anniversary of what happened in Greenwood and in Tulsa, when we have the opportunity to transform the game for us as a people, I am appealing to black men very directly. Sitting on the sidelines is helping Donald Trump. We need you in the game. We need to stand up for you. We are here for you. And I'm asking for you, pleading with you to believe in what a Biden-Harris administration would be for us as a people.
But don't you also need to have Joe Biden and Senator Harris making that case as well? Battleground states data is showing 15 to 20% of black men will be voting for Trump. Black women obviously do not like the Republican Party. The reality is, sure, you look at the numbers right now, there's an increase in white voters. People are sitting here looking at, this poll, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16 points. I don't believe those at all. And so if it comes down to the margins, look, 5, 10, 20,000 are going to be important. What are you and others saying in the campaign where to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, where the people can hear them say what you're talking about?
We got to do more. And I think, Roland, the reality is we have been doing the work, whether it be Make It Happen Mondays, when we talk specifically about black businesses, when there was a black business summit that Vice President Biden had in North Carolina, when it was Senator Harris in Michigan, whether it's Shop Talk, whether it's Sister to Sister. We're doing the work and we're organizing and mobilizing. But the reality is, if people are not aware of it and they're not feeling it, there's more we need to do. When we're having Soul of a Nation concerts on digital platforms, when we're going and engaging and having PSAs and digital conversations, when we're telling people about iwillvote.com, when we're amplifying voter protection efforts in 27 states, If there are still brothers out there and sisters out there that are not aware of that, then we got to drill down home. But I want to be very clear. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are about our black people, period. This is a man who I remember when he was a senator and was the vice presidential nominee, when he went to Macomb County and said very directly, you're going to vote for my friend, Barack Obama, to be the next president. Kamala Harris, when she came out to Iowa and campaigned for us to make sure we had a chance to have a President Obama in the first place. And what I'm saying is the work is happening, but we got to drill down more. And it's coming directly from Vice President Biden, directly from Senator Harris, on down through the campaign. And so our responsibility now is to amplify even more directly to that brother and sister that's on the block that's saying the Democrats are not rocking with me. And it's not that we are not. It's not that our policies are not there. It's not that we're not engaging. It's not that we're not mobilizing, whether it be more than a vote or when we all vote or engaging with our players and other entertainers and other celebrities. But we will be focused immensely, not on the polls, but on the people, and saying very directly, here's what's at stake to everybody. And so this is a plea. This is us saying that, we need the help. We need your support. We need you to rock with us. And as a DNC vice chair, as I see the opportunity, it's not just about a Biden-Harris victory. This is about what could happen in Georgia with Warnock or in South Carolina with Jamie Harrison. This is about creating more opportunities for all of us as a people, elevating a Cedric Richmond, who's our campaign co-chair, and Lisa Blunt Rochester, as well as another campaign co-chair, demonstrating our appreciation of Jim Clyburn as majority whip, but saying to the brothers in Michigan and in Wisconsin and in Arizona and in Florida and in Ohio, no matter the South Side or the South Bronx, we are ready to rock with you, stand with us, and give us a chance so we can demonstrate what it would be in the Biden-Harris administration.
The last question I want to ask you. Yesterday we had, of course, Terrence Woodbury with Hit Strategies, as well as Alicia Garza with Black Futures Lab. They released their survey. And one of the things that they showed is that voters under 50, whether they were LGBTQ or not, there were some issues there. This is what the Root wrote. While 69% of black people over the age of 50 felt their vote was an extremely powerful tool to create change in their communities, less than half of younger black folks felt this way. More than a third, 37% of young black Americans felt their vote was not a powerful mechanism for effecting change. So exactly, again, what is this campaign doing? Biden is doing very well, again, with older white voters. He has peeled some of that support back from Donald Trump, even in Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. But when you look at those younger black voters, what they're saying is, I'm not feeling a Democratic Party like my grandparents and my parents. What's the argument you're making to them as to why they should look at Biden-Harris and not just look at them, but actually cast that vote?
Because marching in the streets is not enough, Roland. I come to you as someone who is a New York Assembly member and, again, as a DNC vice chair, and I look at this from all perspectives. I look at when we saw the brutal effort of what happened against Jacob Blake and the dynamic that happened there. What happened here? We changed policies so you could no longer have police misconduct be shielded. You look at what's going on in Virginia when they have a racial commission that they're now moving forward on and preparing and advocating for the signage of a bill that would decertify officers with police misconduct. When we saw what happened before in Ferguson, which led to local elections and transformation that happened on the ground. And so what I'm saying to everybody, number one, when we talk about what's mobilizing us as a people, we are pissed off of black people being killed and martyred and left in the streets. We are tired of saying over and over, say her name and say his name. And we think about the work of Until Freedom, of Tamika Mallory and My Son and Angelo and everyone else that's there. When we think about Justice League, when we think about Kentucky Alliance, at the end of the day, it is not just about us being out in the streets. We need policies to change. So to my brothers and my sisters, especially younger ones, who are saying to themselves, it doesn't matter. I want to be very clear with you. Are you angry with Daniel Cameron for not moving forward? If the answer is yes, then vote. If you're angry about what happens over and over in Wisconsin and the injustice on the ground, if you are, then vote. If you want to see transformation that can happen on the federal level, so we can have police misconduct understood on the national dynamic, so you can decertify officers that are not doing the right things, then vote. It is not enough to just protest. You have to vote for the policies to change. And so at the end of the day, that is our direct plea to the young people. If you believe in these things and you want to see transformation in a very real way, that is only going to happen by making sure you fill out the census before the end of this month and making sure that you vote. And if you're willing to stand in line for the concerts and stand in line for the sneakers, I need you to stand in line to make sure your vote is counted so that we can actually make some real changes and build back better in 2021.
My suggestion to the Biden campaign is what you just said in the last 60 to 90 seconds. Take that, put that sucker into a video and put that on Black radio, Black TV, and on Black digital platforms, because that's the message that needs to be heard, and they need to be hearing it as well from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Mike Blake, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Always, Brad. Thank you.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, we support Black-owned businesses here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. The folks at Seek.com, they, of course, have a couple of things. Their virtual reality headset right here, folks. You just drop your cell phone right in. You can look at their content on Seek.com or look at 360-degree video right here through this headset. It's an actually, it's pretty fabulous to actually be in the room, in the place with that virtual reality video. They also have these great 360-degree 4D headphones. Gamers love them. You can listen to music, watch videos, great surround sound. All of that's great. These two devices here you can get from Seek.com, CEEK.com. Use the promo code RMVIP2020, RMVIP2020. And we certainly thank Mary Spiel, the founder of the company, and the folks at Seek.com for being supporters of Roland Martin Unfiltered.